I don't know how you feel when Matt Powell speaks, but I feel like bashing my circular form against a brick wall. Ugh. His nonsense and misinformation is ridiculous, and whilst we probably should ignore him and hope he goes and plays with his inflatable banana that he loves so much, it's also good to put up a video negating everything he says, in the hope that one person hears it and realises it's ignorant stupidity, rather than reasons to believe in Allah or Brahma or whatever god it is he thinks is real. Hello, I'm the Skeptic, the British floating circle that watches people make extraordinary claims and then explain why I don't accept what they're saying. Matt Powell thinks that the term evolutionist is a real thing, and also that evolutionists believe that all life came from rocks. It's bad enough that some folks believe atheists are dumber than rocks.
The overwhelming majority of atheists are all brain dead. Because of course rocks and specks of dust and branches and dead rats are all atheists by the lack of belief definition.
But to misrepresent a position is very frustrating, so we're going to look at what Matt thinks about rockelution. That's also not a word. However, before we rock on with silly claims that rocks make living things, if this isn't your first Skeptic video, hit the like, the subscribe and the bell. That would be amazing. And a super thanks to those that hit super thanks over the last few videos. Dr. Mint, Jessica is freaking hot, Tripsonite, Robert Mounts, Kevin Berry, John Steinat, Travis White, William M, and Chris Sears. Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe bestows leaves upon you all. More hen. Go ahead, Dr. Peel, or whatever your name is. Tell me why my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was made of limestone.
Matt Powell and Kent Hovind and a few others I could mention have no concept of respect for integrity of knowledge.
No.
They just say things are true because they want them to be true.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things that Kent Hovind will say that you will never find in any scientific paper, article, or book.
Well, this is supposed to be a video about Matt Powell. However, let's just take a moment to say how much I respect the two fellas on here right now. I've met Aaron Ra a couple of times, and he's just a calm giant that you can't help but admire. And as for Creaky Blinder, he's a bloody legend. All right there, Creaky, how's it going? I mean, you never know if Creaky's going to watch this.
And the same thing with when he says, to this day, despite everybody correcting him, he still says, well, you believe, evolutionists believe it came from a rock. Except that no evolutionist ever believed that. Nobody, not one, not ever.
No, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe we came from rocks.
And you may not have heard, since hopefully I got the music removed from the original video, but there's some kind of weird jazzy comedy music playing. Maybe to try and make people who use what I think is sound reasoning to reach conclusions sound a bit daft. Good tactic there, Matty boy. Let's try and apply it to you.
It seems today that the atheistic movement is completely ignorant about their theory of origins.
This isn't a Marvel movie, Mateus. It's not like it's Wolverine getting an origin story, though I do wonder what this would sound like with some comedy music underneath.
It seems today that the atheistic movement is completely ignorant about their theory of origins.
Ah, much better.
Grow up.
Oh, sorry, Matt.
Now, this should come as no surprise to us as Bible-believing Christians, that they would be ignorant of their own theories. According to evolutionary theory, according to chemical evolution...
Whoa! What was that reverse air quote thing? That was a little strange.
We actually descended from rocks. Now, I know that the atheistic movement and the online skeptics...
More random air quotes. This is more like Joey Tribbiani using that hand gesture incorrectly. Unless he's trying to belittle online skeptics and atheist content creators, which is far more likely. Don't worry, Matt. We can all do that, especially when it comes to your beliefs about a god. Oh, turns out that's actually pretty fun.
We'll say that they do not believe this at all, but they are just showing their ignorance about their own creation myth of how life started from non-living chemicals.
Let's say for a split second that no one accepts that life is explained through a biogenesis. It's still a massive leap to say a god did it. And the reason you think a god did it is because it's written in a book, or because you can't fathom any other explanation. Ghosts could have ectoplasmed, that's not a word, but it should be, ectoplasmed their drippy grossness, and that could have sparked life into existence. Aliens could have planted the seeds of life, or it could have been a Pikachu using its thunder attack on a rock that sparked something into existence, or the most logical of all the explanations, Lisa the rainbow giraffe, leaf be upon her, pooped out the very first organisms with an instruction manual on how to evolve into more complex beings.
If you type in on the internet, "You owe your life to rock," it brings up a paper called "You Owe Your Life to Rock." If you were to click on that paper, the first few words of that paper are, "Thank goodness for granite."
All this proves is that you, A, didn't read the article and just focused on the headline, or B, chose to ignore what was in the article. If you read what it says, it talks about elements being released from rock, and that single-celled organisms incorporated these trace metals into metal-binding proteins that ultimately enabled the diversification of multicellular life. This is only speculation too, but it's a great suggestion, and can be demonstrated naturally. No supernatural needed. It doesn't say we come from rocks. It says that the building blocks for life would have been contained within.
This paper goes on to say that we actually owe our life to rocks that were rained on. And what happened was these granite rocks were rained on for 2 million years, and it eroded the rocks to a point where multicellular life would be able to use the chemical compounds that were eroded from the rocks to be able to come into existence.
Oh, so you do kind of understand then, Doormat. You're really close. The elements within would bind together, not necessarily to become even single-celled organisms at this point, let alone multicellular life. You're jumping ahead huge steps, which is okay. It does take a lot to wrap your head around it.
We are multicellular organisms. That means that we descended from rocks.
Oh, there we go. Someone wasn't paying attention. The first elements needed for life would have come from the chemicals contained within rocks. It's like saying humans breathe leaves, or because plants produce oxygen as a byproduct of their photosynthesis.
According to chemical evolution, according to their evolutionary abiogenesis hypothesis. It's so insane.
Is it more insane to say we can observe what happens when water breaks down rocks over long periods of time, releasing different elements found within, or a being poofed things into existence from nothing?
But yet they'll sit there denying it. They'll sit there saying that they don't actually believe this, when we have legitimate proof that shows that it is what they believe, and whether they realize it or not.
I mean, I think it's more what you understand. Or not. And many times it's been explained that it's not the position at all. And here's another video explaining just that.
In another scientific paper on the origin of life, it goes on to say that rocks and minerals played key roles in virtually every phase of life's emergence.
And where does it say that life came from rocks? It's great that you're reading information. Just make sure you pass it on correctly, Matthew. Just highlighting part of something to fit a narrative doesn't make what you're saying true. Read the whole thing there.
So yes, they are saying that rocks were rained on, minerals were eroded, we evolved from the minerals. By definition, that means that we were conceived from rock.
Oh, no, it doesn't. Really? You're so close. But because it doesn't fit the God did it story, you're having to stretch things to make them sound silly. You should have just quit whilst you were part of the way there.
But yet they will deny the fundamental of their faith. They'll deny their own creation myth. And they will say that what we believe is crazy and Christianity is insanity. You know what's insanity? Saying that the universe created itself from nothing.
Also, nobody, other than believers in God, say that the universe came from nothing.
And then after that creation from nothing, that rain created itself, rained for 2 million years on some rocks, turned the rocks into soup. The soup came alive, and we descended from these single-celled organisms, became multicellular, and turned into fish, and then into fishermen.
Well, other than the nothing part and the massive oversimplification, yeah, pretty much.
That is a fairy tale for grown-ups.
It's a pretty terrible fairy tale if that's the case. No characters, no suspense. You know what the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden is, Matt?
That is a fairy tale for grown-ups.
Exactly. I'm glad you're catching on.
Grow up. And if somebody actually believes that, it just shows that they cannot be trusted in any sense whatsoever scientifically.
Bear with me for this part, as it will get to the point, but I went to the Kentucky Free Thought Convention in mid-2022, which is brilliant because it's Kentucky and the letters are KFC, Kentucky Free Thought Convention, and there was a talk on theists and projecting, getting all defensive because, maybe subconsciously, they're doing what they think we're doing. You can apply what Matt says here to himself, and it would be completely valid.
And if somebody actually believes that, It just shows that they cannot be trusted in any sense whatsoever scientifically.
Exactly. If anybody believes that a sky wizard made things with magic, they cannot be trusted scientifically. Simple, really.
Because if they're willing to believe something that crazy, they're going to spew nothing but inaccuracy after inaccuracy after inaccuracy. They're just going to spew nothing but lies and falsehoods because they don't actually care about what truth is. They don't care about what facts are.
Projection! It's like saying objection, just much louder.
Matt Powell did much the same thing with me that Kent did with you, that we, all of us here today, believe that we came from rocks, even though nobody believes that.
If you get into a debate with them, you got to spend half your time explaining, no, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe we came from rocks.
Now, this should come as no surprise to us as Bible-believing Christians, that they would be ignorant of their own theories.
Just like a Christian to say what folks should be thinking and what they do believe. Maybe it's just that you don't understand what's being said. Life no come from rock.
Despite everybody correcting him, he still says, well, you believe, evolutionists believe we came from a rock. Except that no evolutionist ever believed that. Nobody, not one, not ever.
And neither of those say we came from a rock. If you read and understand what they're saying, geez, who's misrepresenting?
And instead resort to your typical misrepresentations of science, like claiming I think life came from a rock.
That doesn't say from, it says in. As in, elements needed are within, but are not the rock themselves. So that isn't the gotcha you think it is, Matt Ent. What am I trying to say?
So when you come on here and say, nobody believes, or when you get on your channel, nobody believes that we came from rocks, that's just a lie. You're just hearing that from other atheist YouTubers.
And science, and the papers that you're trying to use as evidence against the position, and then trying to edit videos in such a way that folks look ridiculous.
Because this is what evolution teaches. If evolution teaches that the earth was a hot, molten ball of rock, and then it rained on the rocks for millions of years, and out of that soup came me and you over generations and variations. That is what evolution teaches then, is that we evolved from rocks, that we descended from the chemical elements contained in these rocks.
So what is it? From the rocks, or from the elements that are found on or in a hot molten rock ball floating through space over millions of years? Because they're not the same. Word games are a clever tactic to try and trick someone into agreeing with your position, but it's not working here. Why do you have such a problem with Aaron Ra? It's not like he's the one that came up with the theory of abiogenesis. He's just a person that can articulate things in a more understandable way to someone who might not understand the science. Matt. And there you have it. Matt misrepresenting a position and trying to make it sound silly by using language in such a way as to try and confuse folks. Well played, Matt. Not so much. And so that's all I could find. Oh, hang on.
What we are saying is we are apes. We are evolved apes.
There is no God. You are a monkey, and we can prove it. I don't mean you came from monkeys. I can prove that you are a monkey.
We are evolved apes that evolved from apes.
Since we supposedly evolved from chimps, and chimps do not have beards, but humans do, the burden of proof is on the evolutionist to explain how we evolved beards.
Well, since it looks like he filmed 2 videos at the same time, I guess we should take a look at this short one too. Chimps don't have beards, huh? Well, tell that to these bearded beasts. However, we're not saying we came from chimps. We're saying we have a common ancestor, which we're also saying aren't rocks, Matt.
According to evolution theory, we were punched in the face so much as primates that natural selection had to invent a cushion to protect us from face punches. That is why, in evolution, we have beards as men.
What? Oh, I thought hair was there to protect from the elements, providing warmth in the cold and to cool in the heat. You do come up with some dumb things, Matt Dingus.
These are some of the craziest things that anyone could possibly buy into.
Which is why no one believes you, Matt. Really.
But like I said, the supposed skeptics of America, the skeptics that are so critically analytical.
Why does it have to be skeptics of just America? I'm British and don't believe what you say, though, fine, I do live in America.
Of everything that they've ever observed, are willing to just believe this with no question.
I mean, I don't mean you came from monkeys. I mean, I can prove that you are a monkey.
I didn't believe you, Matt. Honestly, when you just said that, because I never heard this before, I was like, no one believes this. No one in the right mind. So I Googled it. I mean, can you believe this? This is really what they believe? This is crazy.
And, of course, twisting the language. It's a fun take on beards, especially since they were getting fashionably popular again. Science doesn't have to be all seriousness. You can actually have fun and run tests on beards and find other benefits to having them. It takes a special kind of wordplayer to twist a fun beard punch story into evidence against evolution. Wow.
You would think that somebody who is actually skeptical, somebody who actually is a free thinker, would look into that and say, that's insane.
I hope you're not suggesting you're a free thinker. Good one.
And in fact, when I interviewed people on the street and asked them what they thought of this theory, all of them came back and said, it's crazy. The only one who didn't was an atheist, of course, because they're so skeptical.
They say when we were primates, and we were punched in the face so much that this is where our beards came from.
That is not what the article says.
That we evolved beards as a cushion.
Bull on that one as well.
I have hit a few guys in the mouth, and their beards did grow immediately.
Sure they did. If that was the case, it'd be a treatment for growing out patchy beards. Wow. Where do you find these folks?
It's just right. You have to do it here.
Well, I don't grow no hair. And if you notice, there's several boxers don't have hair when they fight, and they take plenty of punches in the chin. So, and you know what I mean? So I would squash that theory.
Even if it was true, that's not how evolution works. It's traits passed on. And anyway, there are plenty of bearded boxers. Lennox Lewis, David Hay, Conor McGregor.
Everybody has an opinion, right?
Yep, and sometimes those opinions are bloody stupid.
Because when we were primates, we punched each other so much and we fought so hard that natural selection had to create a cushion in our face. So,
when our ape-like ancestors were exposed to the elements, the ones that had more hair passed on their hairy genes because they didn't freeze to death or bake in the sun.
It's what they're saying.
It's got to be Laffy Taffy joke. I think if it's big enough, it would kind of take some of the shock off that punch, but I don't know about if it was made for that.
When we were primates, we fought so much and so hard that natural selection had to create a beard in our face. I wondered what you thought of that.
Just no.
Let's be honest, it sounds ridiculous because it is ridiculous.
Yes.
We're also Christians.
And I'm not disagreeing with you there, Matt. But because you're trying to twist things to sound ridiculous, I can't take you seriously. So apparently we come from rocks that grow beards because they were punched in their faces. How ridiculous. Matt should probably stick to playing with inflatable bananas and trying to prove that dinosaurs and man lived together like the Flintstones. I have a beard sometimes and have barely been to any rock concerts. Or something like that. But what do you think of these Powell claims? Let me know in the section below. For now, I'm going to skeptic this as hairy rocks not being our ancestors. A big thank you to this month's ticks on Patreon. MISM, Addy Rockart, the Enixes, Travis, Elizabeth, Jukari, and the absolute lunatic Jimmy, as well as all the base ticks. You can become a supporter on Patreon too at patreon.com/theskeptic. The link is in the description along with links to all my other socials. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. From me, the Skeptic, stay safe, keep thinking logically, and ask questions. Skepticism is the first step towards truth. See you next Saturday.